Hi, Shauna. Do you want to be on
Olivia.
For those unaware, I was doing the meow version of America's Next Top Model introduction song.
You were.
Hello.
What podcast are we?
Hello, and welcome to the Pop Culture Junkie podcast. I'm Olivia, here with my bestie,
Shauna.
And for another all-new episode of a Pop Culture Junkie podcast. So, Shauna, how the hell are we?
I don't think either of us are doing very well. I think that we're both hanging on by a thread, and we did make an agreement that 2026 can only go up from here. So that's good.
I think that, you just gotta laugh through the pain. We're here to hopefully make you guys laugh as well.
Yes.
But yeah, you look great. That's all that really matters. If you don't follow us on YouTube, you should.
Thank you. My cheekbones do look really good in this lighting. I think it's just because I've been crying so much. I have like sultry cry eyes. I'm not even going to fill in. Thank you. The hottest look of 2026 is all of us just exhausted and crying for various reasons.
About right.
That
feels about right.
That's okay. And I have green hair, but you saw that
it looks
last week.
I like it. It's very chico.
Thank you.
So,
it's feeling very chico.
If you watched our episode of what cartoon characters have no business being on, that Chico was on all of our lists, and it's really good. So
I think about that episode a lot when I see sexy cartoon characters. I'm like, oh man, there's another one. Or it's like if you can tell that a furry was involved in like the animation, like in Zootopia, like all of those ads. I'm like, I don't know, one of these people's a furry. There's a furry somewhere on this staff. I don't know who, but they're in there.
Yeah, I think that in hindsight, probably some weird people making children's content. But a lot of people at Disney for sure.
We won't get deep into that though.
Great episode though. I will say, if you are single and you are on a dating app, it is a great Hinge prompt.
Yes.
It's also extremely weird icebreaker. I love them.
Do you know what your boyfriend says then?
Well, I didn't meet him on a dating app, so no.
Oh shit, that's true. You met him in like real life, like a weirdo. Who meets their partner in real life?
It's actually very cute. I've never told the story on the podcast, but we met at a dog costume contest, and what a meet cute adorable. That is. So,
God. And wait. To be clear, they weren't dressed as dogs. There were dogs in costumes, but you two weren't dressed as dogs.
Correct. We were just talking about furries, so it's quite important for us to clarify that.
Yeah, I had to clarify. And there are a lot of furries in San Francisco, as we saw.
There are. My trip. Shauna and I experienced a furry meetup. We wanted to join it. So
I love that this is taken. You know what? I feel better already now that I'm seeing your face and talking about furries. I'm already cheered up.
Yeah, you can't be sad. And if that's a cold open, I don't know what is. But Today we're here to talk about the millennial zeitgeist, what we know best. And as millennial women, it was truly a rite of passage to sit through a dozen or two cycles of America's Next Top Model. We learned how to strut down the catwalk from Miss J. We were introduced to the art of smizing and many other strange Tyra words. And we were taught that plus size refers to any woman between size 4 and size 8. And if you haven't figured it out yet, we're here to talk about Reality Check inside America's Next Top Model. Truly, I want to just know, what was your relationship to America's Next Top Model? We're very close in age, but sometimes I feel like there are these certain little periods. So what was your relationship to it? How many seasons did you watch? What was your, An Anton head. Were you an ant head?
I loved America's Next Top Model. Like, I watched this religiously. It came out in 2003. So I would have been, like a sophomore or freshman in high school. And I definitely watched at least the first 9 seasons. Jessica and I, my roommate, watched a lot. In college, we would just binge it on the couch. Oh my God. There were so many, or we would wake up hungover, after a night out, and I would go into her room and crawl into her bed with her. We would open the laptop and just drink blue Gatorade and watch America's Next Top Model. I have such vivid memories of that. But yeah, it was one of my favorite shows for sure. Oh gosh, yeah. When I stopped watching, I want to say it was cycle maybe 8 or 9. I held on for quite a while.
Yeah.
What about you?
I would probably say the same. I absolutely loved the show. I'd watch it when it came out. I feel like I was 13 or 14 the first time I ever watched one. Mm-hmm. And oh boy, does that imprint on your brain in a deep way. But I always loved watching it. It was one of those shows that would come on E, and they would always do a marathon. So before Netflix, you had to hope that a network was playing all of something, all of one season. When ABC Family would play all of Harry Potter, I would lose my mind. I'd be like, we're canceling all of today's plans. America's Next Top Model was one of those. My mom and I would watch it all the time. And I do think that I really loved the show. I loved how they at the time were showing different bodies, not conventionally pretty women getting these crazy makeovers that turned them into these high fashion models.
Yeah.
I mean, there was something that was just crack about it.
Yeah. And we loved a makeover montage. Listen, millennial women love a makeover scene, Clueless, Princess Diaries, America's Next Top Model. Give me a makeover montage. Oh gosh. Now I'm just thinking so many movies in our youth.
In the 2000s,
the ugly,
yeah.
Yes. What's that when she's coming down? She's All That. There you go.
90s, 2000s, truly.
Yes. And at the time, I definitely agree. We thought that this was revolutionary and that it showed the behind the scenes of being a model. It made every girl kind of want to be a model. I always knew I was too short, so that wasn't going to work for me.
I was going to ask you because actually my boyfriend and I were watching it and he had never seen it. And literally he was like, this show is crazy. What? And I'm like, oh no, we were obsessed. He was like, did you ever think you could be on the show? I was like, I'm too short. No.
Yep.
And
that's what I always said. You have to be 5'7", I think. And then later Tyra did a season for short girls that were 5'7" and under. And I was like, here is my chance. But that pesky education got in the way of me applying. So.
Dang it. Yeah.
Dang. Exactly. But yeah, and we thought that it was, showing all these different body types and, such. And there were various races of women and sizes. But, now that we're kind of picking it apart with a 2026 lens, and like you mentioned at the beginning, the people they said were plus size, we're not plus size.
Yeah.
size 4. Yeah.
These women were skinny.
Yes.
It's crazy to look at them and just be absolutely astonished. And whether you dreamed of being a model or not, a lot of us had kind of got to see ourselves in these characters. They definitely looked for people with a compelling story. And this show came out in 2003, which now we live with so much reality TV that it's hard to comprehend how new of a concept reality TV was. American Idol had just came out, Kelly Clarkson had just won, and there were very few networks even doing reality TV. It was quite hard to
watch the Osbournes.
Yes,
the Osbournes on MTV. Yeah, was the go-to reality show.
Yeah,
and now before the writers' strike and the reality TV boom, this was this was it. And real world road rules.
Yes, and America's Next Top Model truly like took over the world. It was America's Next Top Model. It went to so many different countries and truly just became a phenomenon. For a really long time, though, after the show ended, it was quite hard to find it on streaming. They only had like 2 or 3 seasons on where you could find it anywhere on streaming. But that changed in 2020. We were all stuck inside. We finally got all seasons of America's Next Top Model on Hulu.
And we are binging, baby. They talk about this in the documentary too. Like, why now? Why are we all so obsessed with, this cultural conversation about Top Model now? And it's because we all binged it in 2020 through the lens of body positivity and believing women. And we all started kind of going, oh, wait, this is a lot more messed up than I remember it being. But that is why this conversation for a show that hasn't been relevant in years is happening now.
Yeah, and it was interesting. I was definitely one of those people. Like, I was like, oh, that used to be one of my favorite shows.
Me too.
I'm going to watch that. And this documentary is really interesting because it ultimately has Tyra Banks on it, Miss J, Mr. J, Nigel Barker, and then a lot of contestants on the show. Yeah. I would say they definitely brought in like the most famous contestants that maybe didn't win. Not every person interviewed won, but were quite popular fan favorites. But there were some very notable people missing.
I agree.
Janice Dickinson was not interviewed for this.
Exactly. I wish they would have had more of the winners interviewed on this, but I do think that they had an interesting array of people on there. And having Tyra on there, which we can kind of, dive into at some point in this episode and how that added to what kind of truth was told or lack thereof.
Yeah, I think that it is a really, really interesting look at what happened and just kind of how it evolved from something that had the best of intention. So Shauna and I watched this the night that it came out, and we were really thinking about it, and it, like, I think a lot of things, and I think this happens with people who have an inability to see that they are the villain or they've done bad things. It's something that started with such a positive idea and positive message, right? Tyra used this and talks about this, but the reason that she started America's Next Top Model is she was one of the few Black models trying to make it.
She was the first Black model to be featured on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. And she's definitely a pioneer of the time, for sure.
Yes. And Tyra faced quite a bit. She was curvy compared to, like, a lot of other models at the time.
The heroin chic
she had
look.
Big boobs. Yes, exactly. And so she was trying to come up as a Black woman in this time, and it was very like tokenism, right? There could only be one. We see that with Naomi Campbell and Tyra's famous feud, but really Tyra used that experience and said, one, I want to platform these girls and give them a chance to actually show beauty to the modeling industry outside of what they see as like the standard, a white, rail thin, very tall, blonde girl.
Yeah, and she wanted to try to give them the tools that they could learn while they were there, which is why they brought on Miss J to teach them how to walk down the catwalk. Because, I mean, you can have the look to be a model and you can be, gorgeous or unique or whatever, but if you don't know how to pose your body or how to, walk with that model walk, then you're not going to be successful. So I think especially in like season 1, she was trying to have diverse body types. There was diverse sexuality and religions represented, with varying degrees of success there. But she was trying to teach them how to be a model, how the behind the scenes kind of worked, which is why that first season is so interesting. It's so kind of down to earth. And you can tell that they threw together that set in like the back of a hotel, I think they said, like the judges' table. And I really liked that first season. I do think looking back on it now, like Ebony, right? She was in the documentary. She was an out lesbian, and they definitely did not portray her in a kind light. For being a lesbian on the show.
A lot of microaggressions.
Yep.
Where she was too aggressive and she needed to calm it down.
They definitely kind of made her into the, quote, angry black woman trope, which she definitely was not. Like, if you see her in interviews and behind the scenes, like, this woman is so calm in the face of racism and homophobia on this show. But that's the storyline that they kind of wrote for her.
Yeah, and I think that it is super interesting, like that first season, and it just ultimately like blows up, right?
Yeah,
it is a phenomenon, just like American Idol. And you really see through this documentary, they do an amazing job, I think, of telling the story. And they start to go into season 2, right? They have more money than they've ever had before in the budget. They really can like turn up the volume, and they start to fall into ultimately this like producing, creating moments. Like, they're just making it bigger, and they're trying to kind of capitalize on Miss J, Mr. J, and Tyra.
Yeah.
We learn a lot about their early friendships.
Oh, yeah. And I think that Queer Eye was kind of coming out and being popular at this time, too. And on America's Next Top Model, we have, kind of like Mr. J called them like the dynamic gay duo or something of Mr. J and Miss J. And I think they definitely kind of tokenized them and played up on that like sassy gay trope, because it was performing well in reality television. But I totally agree. They started every season that you watch, you can see them losing the plot and like, what is it, jumping the shark just a little bit more. Like, the photo shoots are getting more and more stupid, honestly. Like, photos that you're never going to see in a fashion magazine or in an ad or an editorial. And they started, kind of like choosing plot lines for the girls and assigning them different characters. And they had a budget for them to leave the country and start traveling towards the end of the season.
Yep. And they really saw, like, okay, what did viewers like when in the first season? And then they got rid of kind of these other things. So they were taking these really shy, meek girls and turning them into these supermodels, or they were taking like the traditionally pretty girl and cutting all of her hair off. And, they were really just, honestly, like, maybe not in season 2, but they were starting to learn how to psychologically like torture these girls.
Oh gosh, yeah.
They don't have phones. They can't go anywhere. They don't have like access to their things. So they truly are kind of stuck in, I feel like it was like a Stanford prison experiment.
Dude, literally. And like, I think something that I didn't realize, because I was watching this and I was the same age as the girls, right? Now, as a 37-year-old woman, I'm watching this and I'm like, these are babies. The girls on this show are anywhere between like 18 and 24 years old, right? Yeah. Like, they are so young. Some of them are still living with their parents or like just graduated high school, if at all, right? They find Shandy. She's working at a Walgreens. And we will definitely hop into the Shandy situation of it all. But, these were girls who were out on their own for the first time, who definitely like didn't have the emotional regulation of, that they probably have now in their 30s and 40s and 50s. Like,
God, no.
God, like, I don't know what I would have been like if I was on a reality TV show at 18. Like, I would have been a jackass, right?
And we're all watching this. Famous model right after that.
And we're like, I can't believe she's crying. Oh my God. Oh, get over it. I definitely would have cried if someone would have like shaved my head at 18, right? Like, or dangled me over a hole and made me pose like in a harness. No, I would have cried.
Yeah. And I think one of, with I think let's just get into Shandy, right? I think she really was one of like those first characters I ever remembered. She had
I loved her.
Crazy makeover. I would describe her before she went there like very mousy, right? Like very like
kind of waifish.
Yeah, waifish. Yeah, dirty blonde hair, like and they give her this makeover and she is just drop dead gorgeous. They get like her contacts, truly 90s montage makeover, and she is a fan favorite. Like she's very shy, but she's amazing in front of a camera.
She's a
like,
good model. My goodness, that woman takes incredible pictures, right? Like
so good.
So they get in the budget, like I mentioned earlier, to be able to travel. And they start sending the girls on these things called go-sees, where they make them travel to a different country and then go to a bunch of different little photos or studios, modeling agencies, and try to sell themselves, try on different outfits, walk down the catwalk for the people inside, and see if they can book a show. And in Shandy's season, show off their portfolios, show off their photographs that they've taken. Something that, a real model would do. In season 2, Shandy's season, they ride on the back of Vespas to all of their go-sees, driven by some boys or men, I don't know. These dudes, what are they, in Milan, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And somebody mentions, I invited the boys from the Vespas back to the hotel or wherever they're staying. And, they have some alcohol involved. I doubt all of these women were old enough to drink, but again, they're in a foreign country.
But
they're in
Milan,
a reality. Yeah, they're on a reality TV show, and drinks start flowing.
And you're in a hot tub.
Yeah, you're in a hot tub. You're rail thin. We should throw that in there too. I mean, the eating disorders were running rampant on this show. They said in the documentary these girls were surviving off of barely anything, right? Which is why they all passed out all the time.
Yeah. We're like, that's totally normal.
In hindsight, I'm like, everyone's getting really sick and passing out a lot. Well, fucking duh, girl. Anyway, I digress. Trigger warning here for sexual assault. But Shandy, at the time, they framed it so, oh my God, I remember this so vividly. That Shandy had sex with a guy in the shower and in the bed. She made out with a guy in the hot tub.
And she cheated on her boyfriend.
She cheated on her boyfriend, Eric. And in the next episode, the title of the episode was literally The Girl Who Cheated. And the whole episode is framed around, oh my God, they filmed Shandy weeping and calling her boyfriend, telling him that she cheated. Or, I'm sorry, that she, quote, did the worst possible thing that she could have done. And then he says, you had sex. It calls her a fucking slut, right? She's weeping. It's this totally invasive moment that we should not be witnessing.
They forced her to go to the doctor.
To get a check.
At the time, I mean, I do think that it has to be said that this is very before Me Too. This is like 2004. Women were told like, well, why'd you get that drunk? Why were you dressed that way? Like, you should have known better. Yep. And again, I'm like 13, you're 18, like you're consuming this and you're just seeing it and you're like, oh my God, yeah, how could she do that? Of course.
In my head, I'm like, Shandy cheated. Shandy, oh my God. How could she do that to her? Yeah. How could she do that to her boyfriend? Well, Shandy's on this documentary. She says that she remembers getting drunk, and that's about it.
And that's it. Yeah.
And that she remembers the act of a man on top of her and was blacked out. Like, he absolutely took advantage of this young girl in a drunk, out of her mind, blacked out drunk in a foreign country. Right.
And the producers filmed all of it.
Yep.
They filmed the shower. They filmed the bed. Like they made like ultimately like a sex tape of her.
Yeah.
And it's super interesting to think what we would have actually been shown, because they talk about this in the documentary. It was right around the time when Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson had the nipple slip moment. So they were really clamping down on what you could and couldn't show on these networks. So they were like, oh, well, you don't even know how much of that we edited out. And it's like, you didn't do that out of the goodness of your heart. You did it because you were going to get fined.
If they could have shown the whole thing, they absolutely would have shown the whole thing 100%.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just, God, it's, no one intervened. And then they asked Tyra about it. We haven't even gotten to this. Tyra in this documentary in that fucking trench coat. God, looking like she's ready to make a run for it at any minute. And they ask her, do you remember Shandy? And she goes, Shandy.
I remember her, but like,
I remember her story. And she goes, let me pick my brain a little bit. And she's like, well, I have to say, I wasn't involved in the production, so anything that had to do with production, it wasn't me. Meanwhile, on the screen, it says Tyra Banks, executive producer.
Well, and she spent like the whole first episode talking about the fact that she was like so proud to not have like a vanity credit of producing the show. And it's like, babe, you can't have both. Like, you truly cannot.
You can't.
She's like, I'm not involved in storyline. And, you know, I think that we'll get into all the crazy moments that they talk about, and just kind of like how each of our favorite reality stars truly handled that confrontation. America's Next Top Model, the documentary, I will definitely say to watch it. It's very, very good. Yes. I think that it's a balance and nuance. Again, they don't have everyone. They don't confront everything. I think that, you know, some people got like kid gloves in the calling them out, but ultimately the show had a lot, right? We talked. This is probably the most famous, like, what the hell moment.
Oh my God, I know what you're going to say.
The blackface and race swapping photo shoots. Again,
they did
it's Tyra Banks.
Blackface, you guys. Twice.
3 times.
They did it 3 times.
Cycle 4 got milk, which is the race swap. Cycle
stupid.
13 is the mixed race shoot. And then Cycle 17 is the Michael Jackson-inspired shoot involving racial transformations.
Oh my God. Racial transformations. I love that's the nice way to say blackface, you guys. You know what? I will say, even while this came on TV, I remember seeing that race swap episode in season 4 and thinking it was really dumb. Like, now we're looking at it through like this is really fucked up lens. I was thinking about it at that point in my whatever age I was. They're race swapping and they're dressing in like clothes from a different culture with milk mustaches. And for some reason they have to hold a baby. That's just a lot of layers on layers on layers. Milk,
it's so weird.
Race swap, baby. And then that one poor girl who had like a stress condition and she broke out in hives. Do you remember that? And they wouldn't let her hold a real baby. So that she had to hold like a doll. And all the other girls were like, her baby, she's going to look the best because her baby was the lightest.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was just a mess.
Also, like, what the fuck got milk? What?
Yeah.
Why did we let that happen?
Because the big dairy industry was so entrenched in like the government and getting like subsidies in like the 90s and 2000s.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
They wanted us all to drink milk so bad, you guys. I feel like Gen Z doesn't get like, we'd be eating dinner and our parents would just give us a big fucking glass of milk and be like, drink that milk for strong. Like, oh my God. I could go on a milk rant for so long, but let's not. Milkies.
We mentioned it a little bit, but the makeovers were everyone's favorite part. And so they really, 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 really turned the volume up on those kind of every season. We had, you know, Danielle Evans, who's in the documentary, talking about the gap in her teeth. I can't remember the other girl's name, but they took out like 4 or 5 of her teeth. Joni, there you go. Yeah, I took her teeth out. Again, I made my boyfriend watch this with me, and he's like, what the fuck were you watching? And I'm like, it was the show of my childhood. What do you mean?
I went off to Andrew about the teeth situation because they have her fill in her gap. Well, first she doesn't want to. She goes to the dentist, doesn't do it, comes back, and Tyra's essentially like, if you don't close that gap, you're going home. So she agrees to close it a little bit. She ends up winning. Danielle Evans, gorgeous. She's on this show. Oh my God, her face is
even better now. Oh my God,
she's like a sculpture. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And then, like 3-4 seasons later, a girl shows up with a gap in her teeth. Tyra has her widen it to make the gap bigger because it's more fashionable. What?
Yeah. Well, it's also like, oh yeah, she's making a white girl do that too.
Mm-hmm. She made the white girl make her teeth bigger. Like, you know, she was okay to have her gap. But, oh God, just mind-boggling transformations here. And like, you know what? Joni said that, you know, she couldn't afford to have her teeth done. Yeah. So for her, like, that was, you know, she's like, yeah, let's go for it. Let's do it. But I mean, a rush job like that where she had to be in, you know, surgery for, what'd she say, like 12 hours? Her mouth still doesn't align. It was just for like quickie aesthetic purposes. And she didn't even win the show, right? But no, let's not do surgeries for, you know, reality television.
Yeah, and ultimately, I mean, there are so many famous moments, like the "We Were All Rooting for You" with Tiffany Richardson. The exploitation, ultimately, of just like people's trauma is a huge thing. Like, one of the girls, her friend had died the night before. She had just found out. And then the next day they made them do a photo shoot in graves. It's quite crazy. There's so many different things.
Exactly. And then Tyra would pretend like she didn't know, right? She'd be like, oh, someone died. And you know what? I'll say this for Mr. J too. Like he did own up to a lot of stuff on the documentary, but still, like, you know, oh, I didn't know your friend died. Yes, you did, you guys. You sure fucking did.
The way that they handled plus size, just in general, is so messed up. Again, these women are like size 4. That is so skinny. And they're being told they're fat. Like, I just remember so many shoots where it's like, you're pudgy. Like, you should just stop eating. Like, really, again,
Janice Dickinson was terrible about that. Yeah, she would say.
We also watched them lose what they originally created it for. It was to highlight different body types, different races, and all of those things. And it just became what it didn't want to be.
100%. So Kenya is on this show from season 6. She's gorgeous as well, by the way. That can just be blanket said for all of these women. They all look incredible. Oh my God. Kenya on the show had this storyline around her that she was humongous. This girl was not
skinnier than me.
She was so thin. And, you know, she had a normal, you know, midsection, but they made it seem like she was, you know, so big and needed to lose weight. And they started playing into it more, right? They would mention it during photo shoots. They went to Africa and they all got kind of assigned different animals. They assigned her the elephant.
Yeah.
So at that point, she's like, okay, sure. Yeah, elephant. And tell her at the, you know, judging how much they had to edit her midsection, how it wasn't okay. She needs to make better choices and take the buns off of her burgers. They have a 7 Deadly Sins shoot and they make her be gluttony. And at this point, she's like, okay, I see what the storyline is here for me. Make her pose around a bunch of junk food with like a donut. And then they have the audacity to, in the judging, be like, well, she looks pudgy. You guys made her pose with like donuts and French fries.
Like, yeah, they also put her in a very similar to Shandy, not as bad, but they made her dance with this guy, and she tried to set a boundary. He was very much groping her. It was not good. And then the picture they choose is him like grabbing her ass essentially. And you know, there were just a lot of antics that were happening. I mean, I think that after the Shandy moment, like you truly see the show start to go evil, and the volume like just keeps going up and up and up. And there's a moment, I think that each judge really takes a different level of accountability within it, right? I think that Miss J is like, whatever, like I am who I am, like it's fine. Like I think that Miss J is just like, that's who I was supposed to be. I was always the very sassy gay, but like wasn't involved in producing at all.
Miss J really wasn't, I don't think, because they were, you know, just kind of there for like the runway shoot or like teaching them how to walk, and then the judging ultimately. Yeah. But I totally agree. They all took very different degrees of responsibility. Mr. J does take some responsibility for some poor decisions. I think he could have done a little bit more. Nigel also takes, you know, like accountability for some poor decisions in photo shoots. But like Nigel at the end of the day was the photographer, right?
Nigel was the nice guy, though. So Nigel always got to play that person and that
the nice,
character,
handsome, straight guy.
Yeah. And so he was really kind of that person always. Yeah. But I think when you look at it, like, you have Mr. J and Tyra, probably the closest to it, right? Mm-hmm. In the beginning, Mr. J made a lot of the photo shoots. So the first couple of seasons, he was responsible for those. Eventually, those got taken away from him. And he really uses that to distance himself from it. He's like, look, I'm a personality. I said it, but like I wasn't making those decisions. I don't know how true that is at all, right? Like you still had your Tyra's ear. He says like, oh, I couldn't give feedback to Tyra or Ken. Ken Mock made America's Next Top Model as well with Tyra. But, you know, I think that they all kind of said, well, it was Tyra. And they famously had a falling out with Tyra.
Everybody pointed their fingers at each other. I think, you know, I do give Mr. J some more grace than Tyra Banks in all of this, but I do think that he could have owned up a little more and that he's not innocent in all of this. Of course not. Yes. Tyra Banks, yes. So they have a famous falling out. He wanted to quit the show on cycle 12. And she convinced him to stay for one more season. He ended up staying for 7 more seasons before Tyra, according to her, quote, the powers that be outside of my control, made her fire Nigel, Mr. J, and Miss J in a very tacky, unceremonious way. Like, they were going to do like a very classy goodbye. Oh, we wish them well. And then someone supposedly leaked it to page 6. And let's talk about Miss J, like, you know, the health situation.
I cried so
much. I definitely got a little teary.
Yeah, so Miss J, unfortunately, after the firing, had a stroke and was in a coma for 6 months?
I think 6 months, yeah.
Yeah, he was in a coma, and ultimately, when he came out of the coma after the stroke, was told that he would never walk or talk again. We see him talking in the documentary. He's sitting the entire time in the documentary. We do see that he is actually in a wheelchair at the end of the documentary. But, you know, I think that Miss J was such a personality and very successful after America's Next Top Model. He was quite famous within the fashion industry and beloved.
I mean, he had a career before Top Model as a runway coach, right? And then, you know, got famous that way through Top Model. But I mean, Nigel Barker, Miss J, and Mr. J all had successful careers or continue to have successful careers post Top Model. So good for them. Miss J is asked if Tyra ever came and visited him in the hotel or in the hospital. Nope. Not a single thing. And that sassy look against the camera like, not yet. Yeah. Oh, my God. And then, well, she's asked, like, can we talk about what happened with you and Mr. J? And she's like, nah, let's not talk about it. I should call him. He's a special guy. And later he's like, she's not gonna call me. Like,
yeah, since the
she's
documentary
distancing
came out,
herself.
Like,
yeah, she's distanced herself from all of this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's, I think that, look, we were, if I do a retrospective on what the documentary did and what the show itself did, I mean, I think that it is quite easy to look at a piece of media that is 23 years old and go, what the fuck was this? I do think that the show started as a way, like, I think it started with positive intent.
Yeah, I agree.
But ultimately, like most reality TV, like, it just becomes very dark. When manipulating people for storyline becomes that. And I do think that Tyra ultimately became kind of what she hated the most, right?
Yeah, like, literally, she's talking down to Black women. She's shaming people for their weight and their size. They're choosing not the best photo for these girls all of the time. They're, pardoning or giving a platform to sexual assault. Like, I think at the end of the day, she became, what is that, Batman? You either become the hero or live long enough to...
Yeah.
To become the villain. Yeah, and that's Tyra Banks. She did mention at the very end, cycle 25 coming after taking zero. I take that back. Her responsibility or accountability that she took was, thank you for calling me out on my shit. I needed that. I hope you all respond well and someone calls you on your shit too, because it's going to happen to you too. By the way, cycle 25 coming. Like,
yeah, well, what, she's trying to get it cycle 25 made. And
no one wants this.
I think that, like, overall, right, the show did in 2003 made us have conversations, and it made it, like, I do think that this is a very special type of, like, well, I did a little bit better than the person before me, and that's enough. And I don't think it is enough. I want to say that, but yeah, I mean, I think that any reality TV is evil. I don't think that Tyra herself is evil, but I think that she holds that in her mind, and that is why she is unable to do that.
I totally agree. I think there's a certain type of narcissistic personality like that will not take accountability or apologize. I mean, think of like Donald Trump, honestly. That man will never apologize for anything until the day he dies, right? Yeah. Like, I think it takes a lot of courage and, like, responsibility to say, like, no, I messed up. Like, I totally own that. That was really messed up and we should never have done that, which is what, like, Mr. J says on this show, to an extent with some of the photo shoots. And Tyra's never going to do that. They do have a documentary coming out on E! Dirty Rotten Scandals. I think it's coming out sometime in March or April. Tyra is not involved in this one. She's not going to be on it. They have other winners and outspoken contestants who are going to be on it, who talk about March 11th it comes out. Other contestants who are going to talk about their experiences. So I'll be interested to watch that one, especially with no Tyra involved. And just, I don't know, give me more of this behind the scenes content.
Yeah, I think it's really, really interesting. That they're saying Janice Dickinson will be on that one.
Yes.
That Dirty Rotten Scandals is going to be like kind of a series, so it's going to go over Dr. Phil and like other things.
The Price is Right. I didn't know The Price is Right had scandals. I was shook when I watched the trailer. I'm like, Bob Barker, no! God damn it! Never trust a white man.
Not my Bobby.
I know with Janice there though, like, Janice, bitch, you were so much of the problem. She was so much of the problem. She called these girls fat, ugly. Like, she was so demeaning to these women, and now she's gonna come out and be like, well, it was Tyra. Like, she better own up and be like, yeah, I was a terrible person. I'm sorry. Otherwise, I'm gonna be like, shut up, dude. Shut up.
Yeah. I think that one of the things that I heard, I actually didn't verify this, so I have no idea, where they were talking about how Tyra was a producer on this as well.
On Dirty Rotten Scandals?
No, on Reality Check.
I do think so. And I don't know. I wonder if she thought that this was going to put her into a better light than it did. But like, I mean, it's just the truth. Like, if she's, saying her truth, we're all going to watch it and go, okay, yeah, well, you suck. And now, now you're showing us that it's true. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that if she had really gone for it, we'd be having a different conversation. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, like, one of the early lines is, "This is what you wanted," and it is kind of interesting to think, like, of how far we've come. We have many ways to go, and there are things very wrong within our society. But looking back, wow, we've come a long, far way.
We have come a long way.
Quite interesting. Yeah,
that's true. And hopefully in another, 20 years, we'll look back and be like, wow, we sure have come a long way since 2026. Like, I don't know, society can only move in that upward motion. I just feel for these girls who, went through this and had their self-esteem torn apart. And all of us, young women, developing women, seeing other women being called fat and ugly and being torn apart. And we're, you were absorbing that into ourselves. And, shout out to Shandy for speaking your truth, dude. She's so cool. If you follow her on social media, she's this super like progressive artist who just loves cats and speaks her truth.
Yeah, I think it was a really interesting like time in society, because like, again, we mentioned reality TV was so new. Like, we didn't understand it. We didn't really know how like fake and performative like a lot of these things are. And I think about that right now with like TikTok, short form video content, and even like and how warped those 13-year-olds are right now, and like
100%.
They think it's real, and they see so much like, you need this Ozempic, you need this makeup routine for a guy to like you, and
you need to buy all of these things and all of these products, all of these microplastics on your face every single day. And they think that like the images that they see are real people, and like AI is getting so good that it's starting to fool even like tech savvy people. I saw a picture of Selena Gomez that was like, I don't know, online today, and people were ripping her body apart because she just looks like a normal person who hasn't been pinched and stretched to the gods on social media.
Isn't
like
sucking in at that moment.
Yeah, because she's, God forbid, enjoying her day. But yeah, it's sad to see. So hopefully we'll have a renaissance with that we can talk about at some point too.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're going to wrap this one up here. Shauna, where can our viewers find you?
You can find me, Shauna, on Instagram and Threads at Shauna Trinidad, ShaunaTrinidad.
And you find me, Olivia, on Instagram at Livy Maries, LiviMariez. And look us up online at our website, popculturejunkie.com. You can find our podcast on all platforms, social media links, blog post. We have some shirts. You can have a little cutie patootie pop culture junkie moment, and join our Pop Culture Junkie online support group. All that and more. You can also check us out on Patreon and help us bring you more of the pop culture that you love at patreon.com/popculturejunkiepodcast. You get a sneak peek and a super special shout out from us. And come back next week for another hit of pop culture.
The Pop Culture Junkie podcast is produced by Jeff Markin and Cheryl Lightfoot for the Pop Culture Entertainment Network.
So entertain